You don't have to quit your job just to do it. You'll obviously want to eventually because you're gonna make way more money doing it. But you can do it in baby steps. And as you can see from where I am here, you can do it wherever you want in the world. Most of my work is coming from London, some of it from Manchester, a little bit, very little, but a little bit coming from the US. And I'm not particularly skilled at anything. I've got an okay background, but what I'm doing, maybe not exactly what I'm doing, but similar things to what I'm doing, virtually anyone could get into it. All you really need, the only tool that you're going to rely on is being able to send DMs. You don't even need a CV when you're freelancing. A good web page, but even then, you don't necessarily need a web page. A decent LinkedIn page will probably do it for you. If you don't like LinkedIn, you can do it through Twitter. That's something I'm working on at the moment because I know a few guys who are making a lot of money and they're getting kind of better clients in some ways on Twitter. But the one thing with Twitter, you'll have to have a lot of clients who you're doing a little bit of work for, usually at least, versus LinkedIn, which is more like what I do. I've got like four main clients anyway at the moment who I sort of serve all week. And to be honest, I'd quite like to get a few more clients, but who I'm doing less work for, because obviously then I'm less dependent on if one of them drops off the bat or whatever, or one of them doesn't pay, which maybe if you've got questions about that, feel free to ask. But yeah, if one of them doesn't pay, it's a bit less of an issue. Is there anyone on here actually freelancing at the moment? Or is there anyone who'd like to? No, it seems. What? There must be someone here who'd like to get into freelancing. Has to be at least one person. No? Alright, tell me, do this then. Make a comment with what job you're doing, and I'll tell you how, if I was you, I would use that skill to get into freelancing. So, I'm tired of this 9 to 5, but I'm also scared of non-stability. So that's like the perfect reason to do it the way I was saying. Baby steps. Just pick up one freelancing client to begin with. Keep your main job. Don't quit it. And just get used to that one client. Get used to doing work for them. Get used to getting paid from them, which is a nice bit. And once you're comfortable with it, get a second. And you are going to naturally reach a point where like you're kind of a little bit overworked because you'll have your full-time job and your freelancing clients as you're growing it. And that's sort of unavoidable. But, you know, at that point, maybe you can make a decision, all right, I'm going to live on a bit of a budget for a while, jack in my 9 to 5, and focus more on this freelancing stuff. So what's the gig? It says, I'm currently working as a consultant at an NGO firm. But what do you do for them? Like the one challenge you'll have, it's not impossible, but the one challenge you'll have with NGOs is, or the type of work that goes on with NGOs is usually, not always, but usually it's not profitable work as such. Depends what you're doing, of course. So it's not impossible to get freelancing work with them. Plenty of people do it, but I'd need to know what you're doing. It's definitely easier in the digital /technology /e-commerce space. And maybe you're doing something you could transfer to that. What kind of consultant are you? I like the freedom of control and also more room for mobility of freelancing. Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing about it. Like, literally, look at this big field. I've been working all day. Now I'm wandering around this field. I was working just a little bit over there for the day. And like I'm hundreds and hundreds of miles away from any of my clients right now. And it doesn't really matter. So yeah, the freedom, that's the good bit. Norma Clive, or I've probably said that wrong. I'm 18 and want to do cybersecurity. What's your advice? Well, alright, if I don't answer this correctly, the number one thing I'd say is go over to my Twitter. There's a link in my bio, and like, you know, really, like, just tweet me a few things if I don't answer this right. But like, the number one thing I'd say is, why do you want to get into cybersecurity? I'm guessing you haven't learned much yet about cybersecurity, and the reason I'm saying why is because, number one, there's more work as, for example, a JavaScript developer, but even other developers. It's easier to get into. The amount of things you need to know before you're valuable, before you can like really be a profitable asset to a company, is much less. I would say if you started right now, within 6 months you could be working as a junior developer if you follow the right path. And then once you're in that position, you'll naturally be dealing with servers, you'll naturally be dealing with infrastructure. You'll kind of just pick up knowledge along the way. And you know, if 3-4 years into it, whilst you're making good money, you were like, yeah, I still want to be a cybersecurity person, it really wouldn't be that big a leap to make. And the programming background would really stand to you. So that's my advice. But let me know what you think. If you disagree, if you like it, if you don't like it. Also, like this video, please, people. Alright, so the next question. Yeah, mine is a research, but they've also got policy departments. I'm training to be a tech leader here. Right, okay, so if you're training to be a tech leader, I'm guessing, if I was you then, what I would do, get you a little bit of experience as a tech leader. And instead maybe of going into freelancing straight away, get a job as a business analyst. And a business analyst in a technology team is very simply someone who they coordinate between the business and the tech team. They translate business requests, business requirements into development requirements, let's say. And the best thing about that is, once you get good at it, you can very easily be a contractor. And contractors, at least in the UK, I don't know where you are, but in the UK, a business analyst contractor can easily make £400 a day, work remote. And you know, there's no real upward limitations on where you can go with that. So that would be what I'd suggest, to be honest. What's to say, everybody's transferring into cloud. I mean, mate, do you know what the cloud is? It's literally just someone else's computer. That's all it is. Someone else's computer with an internet connection. So I don't think... Look, it depends. Do you want to make money quickly? If you want to make money quickly, if you're 18, I'm guessing you don't have too many expenses, so you've got a quite nice way to do this. This is what I would do. I'd spend the next 3 weeks, and you could do this in 3 weeks. I've actually done it with one of my students. Spend the next 3 weeks getting yourself a manual quality assurance job. Not because I think that's a good job, or a job you want to stay doing, but it means you've got into a tech team, you're in a tech environment, you're making connections in tech, you're getting familiar with just the day-to-day realities of working in that environment. Once you've done that, then start learning how to program. I would look at JavaScript personally. I think it's probably the best one for someone like you. Very good money to be made. Easily make £400 a day once you start contracting a few years later. It's all in the cloud anyway, because web stuff is cloud by definition. You can then transfer into a DevOps team if you want, where is a great foundation to getting into cybersecurity. You'll probably get paid way more than your average cybersecurity person as well, by the way. I've connected with you on LinkedIn. That's good, but I'd say you'll have better luck with me on Twitter, because I'm being a bit more active on there at the moment. So tweet me on Twitter, and I promise you I'll give you a really thoughtful response. Don't DM me just because if I'm doing stuff for free, I don't mind doing it, but I like other people to get some value from it. So at least if it's a tweet, it's public, other people can see it, and they might get use from it as well. Next thing. Luckily I have an EU passport, so I keep moving every year or so to different EU countries. Now you need to get 2 passports. I've got an EU passport and an English one. And Actually, I'll soon have a Mexican one as well, but that's another story. But yeah, that's good. I mean, what I would say to do, if you can, is get access to the British market, because for contracting and freelancing, it's probably the best one, and you pay less taxes. Unless you like paying taxes, some people do. Germany's not bad. Germany's alright for work, but they're a bit stricter with contracting and stuff, so it depends. Ireland's alright. Holland's alright. But yeah, do what I was saying. Get yourself business analyst work based on what you said you're going to be doing. Get a job as a business analyst. A year of doing that, you'll definitely make your way into contracting if you want. You might be like, do you know what? I like working in this environment. I don't want to be a contractor, because there's plenty of permanent jobs as well where you can be remote, and some of those benefits that sounds like you're looking for, you can actually get them. 265 Wait, best advice on tech in the UK? Well, thank you very much. Tech in the UK though it's a pretty good environment, I would say, anyway. It's hard to go wrong in the UK with it. It's just sort of easy. What are we saying? Unfortunately, Dutch passport doesn't allow dual nationality, so I'd have to renounce it. Well, there's an alternative to that. So if you're Dutch, you could get, as an example, you could swap it for an Irish passport, because it's EU, isn't it? And then what you can do is get yourself an English passport, because if you're Irish, which you would be in that scenario, you're automatically allowed to get an English passport. So there, I've solved your work and your immigration problems. Definitely deserve some likes for that. I'll go over to my Twitter. You can ask me lots of questions there. Are you a contractor is the next question. I'm a bit of everything. So about 7 years ago, I started contracting, and I spent most of the time between then and now doing that. Then I was a CTO, which means Chief Technology Officer. So I was responsible for a team of about 25 people. It was a tech team. And now I've got like a consultancy business. So I have some clients who subcontract work to me. I have other clients who hire me as a consultant just for a few hours a week. I give them advice. Then I do this thing. I train people into technology. Worried about the recession? I think it would be naive and arrogant of anyone to sort of be too nonchalant about it. But my overall view on it is, recession or no recession, I still need money. So maybe I'm going to have to work harder if things go a bit south. Maybe I won't, who knows, but it's going to be an unfortunate situation if it happens. But it's a bit like when it rains, you know? You still have to go to work, you still have to go to the shop, you still have to do whatever you do. It's just a bit annoying. I think if you're a skilled professional, that's what it's going to be like, more so than if you're an unskilled person with no real value to add the market. Then you're really going to suffer, because I do think it's going to be a very bad one. I think that things are going to get a lot more expensive than they are now. Food is going to get a lot more expensive. There's going to be a certain amount of shortages. There's going to be a huge energy crisis, which is going to lead to other problems. From all the way from fuel to gas for your house. So I'm not worried about it, but I'm not going to stand here and sort of arrogantly say it's going to have no impact. But you just kind of have to move on with it, don't you? Whatever challenges arise, if it takes 100 DMs now to get some work, well, then maybe it'll take 200. So the answer is do 200. You know what I mean? That's kind of my view on it. How can I get security job contracts from big firms? My question to you is, why do you want those? I wouldn't want those personally. I'm curious to know why you'd want them. Like, if you want them, the way to do it, if you don't have a sort of reputation amongst them yet, is to develop a reputation with them. Then the question is, how do you do that? And the way I would say is basically following the steps I lay out in my course for LinkedIn development, and that is essentially connect with people who sign off those costs in big firms on LinkedIn. Don't ask them for a job, don't ask them for anything, just connect with them, start putting out content that is relevant to them, so they might interact with it. Interact with their posts on LinkedIn, they'll start to get to know you. You do that over a 3 to 6 month period, it's amazing what happens. You'll start DMing them, you'll start having conversations with them. Contracts and jobs and freelancing gigs and consultancy gigs, they do crop up out of that. It's a proven method. Next question, is moving to full stack from front end clever move for no, it's not. Look, if you want to upgrade your skills, nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to enhance your ability to be a contractor. Your best way to become a contractor is to get really good at what you're doing, really good, build up a network of people who hire for whatever it is you do. And that could be a mix of recruiters, it can be a mix of hiring managers. And that's all you have to do. Then once you're doing contracting, you'll naturally learn different skills in that, because you'll go into a contract somewhere as just, for example, front-end JavaScript developer or whatever, and some other work will come up and you'll end up doing that, and you'll end up doing some Node scripts or whatever, and you'll get experience to that. And you gradually develop these new skills. But the easiest way into contracting is to be very good at one thing. So obviously better to be good at more things, but if you want to get in there quickly, don't sort of spread out, don't spread yourself too thin to the point where you kind of don't know anything that well, but you know a lot of things a little bit. That's not going to help you at all. Because I got new agency recruiting. Hang on. So what was the first? It was, how can I get into security job contracts from big firms? Because I got new agency recruiting. I don't really get what that means. Because I got new agency recruiting. Not sure. Ask me that. Try and expand on that. I don't quite get the question. Big Zach says, is 2 years enough for contracting? I mean, it's a bit like how long's a piece of string, really. I would say, look at it like this. Are you able to work independently and get jobs done without a senior developer helping you? Can you actually do that? Or do you constantly need help from people? I would say, if you don't need help all the time from people, then you probably can. Do you take ownership when things go wrong? If could you look after the system you're managing or whatever on your own over the weekend or on cover or something? They're kind of, and these aren't even hard and fast rules, but they are sort of metrics of this is a senior individual. So look, hit me up on Twitter. Go to my Twitter, links in my bio. And because I might think of something after. If you tweet at me there what you want to do, I'll be looking at it later or maybe tomorrow, and if I have an idea, I'll say it to you. But look, 2 years you can do it is the short answer, but it really comes down to how good you are. What's the next thing? I'm currently front end. I want to specialise in full stack JavaScript. But listen, get good at front end JavaScript first. So whether it's React, whether it's Angular, Vue, whatever you're doing, just get really good at that. Get into contracting at that. Then you'll be earning the big money. And the reality is, with Node.js, which is the back-end one, and okay, you'll be throwing TypeScript and stuff into there, but fundamentally, if you're good at React, if you're good at JavaScript and then get good at React, you'll figure out Node.js pretty quickly. I mean, I haven't done, apart from a month ago, I hadn't done any Node.js for 7 years, some ridiculous amount of time. And I ended up doing some recently. And I'm not even really a JavaScript person. JavaScript was never my main thing. I just started doing it. There was a job to be done, I got it done, because I had to. So don't worry about that. Just get into being a front end first, especially if you're only 2 years experience. Don't spread yourself too thin. And then once you're in it, you can do more. 265 says, I wish I started sooner on the contracting. I thought I had to wait 5 years. I should have just jumped in at 200-300 a day. Well, this is the other point, you see. This is spot on. You know, you don't have to charge the big daddy money straight away. You know, that's the other thing. Like, if you see a job being advertised at 400 a day, maybe they take someone in at 250 a day, even if they're not that experienced. So, you know, you can keep your eyes open for that. And this kind of goes back to what I'm saying about how you manage your LinkedIn. If you were doing your LinkedIn the way I sort of outlined, you'd get you'd have these things popping up in your feed all the time, and you know, you'd see them. So I agree with 265 there. Big Zach, I saw that there are more Node, I guess you mean JS roles for contracting compared to React. There are, but remember, all of back-end JavaScript is in Node.js, whereas only some of front-end JavaScript is in React. But you know, for every type of role there is more of, there's more developers as well. Anything that you're hearing about technology-wise, there's plenty of work in it. Like, the biggest fallacy is that you're going to lose out by learning X language over another or X framework over another. Just learn one of them, get good at it, you will get work, and then you can expand on your skills. There probably is more Node.js work, but I don't know a single React developer who can't get work and who can't get paid well. So that would be my view. Kulobi, hey, I'm Nigerian. How can I get into tech? I'm confused. So, how can you get into tech? Let's assume, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, let's assume though you don't currently know any like tech stuff. The first thing I would do is I would look into what is involved to be a manual QA, manual tester. Just get familiar with the terms, understand what functional testing is, regression testing, smoke testing. Get familiar with the sort of parlance of development teams. So, like, what are sprints? What are tickets? What are acceptance criteria? All of that. Just be fluent in the day-to-day language of it. Have an idea of what people talk about. Then, if you're Nigerian, I would say you probably know some Nigerians who live here. That would be my assumption. If you don't, find some. But either way, start off by just getting them to subcontract work out to you. I know so many Nigerians in England working in tech that you could get some of them to subcontract work for you. They go get the QA job or whatever it is, you do it. That would be how I'd start. And you need to get experience under your belt. So don't be too fussy on the money first off, especially for your first gig. Just get the experience. And message, if you don't know any Nigerians currently in tech in the UK, get on LinkedIn, start looking for them, because they do exist. There's loads of them. And find one who's in the QA space, get them to get a job, and you do it for them. Let me know if that's clear or not.